Guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Mark here on the Golf Jedi YouTube channel, and I'm just doing a video today about a lens that I picked up from a company called SIRUI. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm probably not. It's a 24mm anamorphic lens, and I know a lot of people have been very interested in picking this lens up, and I just wanted to share a couple of things. This is going to be just a very quick kind of a couple of handful of tips of things that you need to know if you've purchased or are purchasing this lens specifically for the Canon EFM range of cameras. So I just want you guys to benefit from the things that I've had to learn pretty quickly. They're not major things, but if you don't know them, it kind of takes a while or a little bit of searching to find out this little bit of information. So I've written them down. There's kind of 6 points that I wanted to give you just a bit of guidance on. So the first thing, I suppose, is really stating the obvious, but I think it's important to mention it because I've seen it happen and I've seen the comments online already, is if you have a Canon M50, which I do at the moment, or a Canon M6 Mark II, for example, which are Canon EFM mounts, please buy the EFM mount lens. I know that sounds super obvious, but I've seen so many people online that have purchased this and purchased the wrong lens. As far as I know, this doesn't work with an adapter of any sort. It's a native mount to your lens, specifically in this case the EFM mount. So please don't try and finick around with adapters and this type and the other. Just buy the native mount for your particular type of camera. They come in 5 different mounts. And as I said, I'm speaking specifically today about the EFM for Canon. And they don't work with adapters as far as I know. So that's my first point. Very obvious, but again, I've seen people make lots of silly mistakes already online. My second point would be to make the lens work. And if we talk specifically about the Canon M50 here for a moment, when you first put the lens on the camera, it actually won't do anything, it won't function. You need to go into your custom settings and enable a function or a feature called the shutter to operate without lens, or shutter without lens feature. You will find this under custom settings on the Canon M50. And what I might do another video very quickly just showing how to navigate to that setting. But again, when you connect the lens to your Canon M50, it's not going to automatically work. You need to go into settings, in the custom settings, which is the yellow tab in the menu, and find the option shutter without lens. Very important, because otherwise the lens won't work for you guys. The third point I've noted down here is you will need some editing software after you've captured your video. So what I mean by that is, for example, I use DaVinci Resolve 17. And what you need to do is when you're uploading your footage, you need to change the settings in Resolve so that it appears as it's meant to appear with the D-squeeze. It's actually quite simple, and again, I'm going to do maybe another video on that. But if you're familiar with DaVinci Resolve, you just go into Preferences, Settings, and change the settings to 1.3 anamorphic. Again, I'll do a specific video on that, but again, if you're doing video editing and you want to see the images as it should appear, you will need editing software that will facilitate anamorphic in that regard. And again, the one I'm familiar with is DaVinci Resolve. I know Premiere Pro does it as well, very simply with a click of a button like DaVinci. So you will need editing software in that regard as well. The fourth point I have is you will need a gimbal. So if you're using this for video specifically, you can use it for stills as well, but predominantly it's for video. You will need a gimbal, I would argue. So if you're using handheld, a little gorilla pod, that type of thing, a tripod, if you're moving around, I definitely think you will need a gimbal, whether it's a Weebill or a Ronin or whatever. But I would definitely invest in a good gimbal as well. Fifth one is you probably will need filters. So again, depending on what type of shooting and videos you're doing, you will need a UV filter or an ND filter for this lens. So again, that's something to be aware of, additional expenditure. They're not expensive, but you will need some. And again, please make sure you buy the correct size for your particular lens that you're purchasing from SIRUI. And then the final thing that I'm going to say is, when you're using a gimbal, you will need a follow focus mechanism of some description, because to adjust the focus manually on the lens while you have it on a gimbal is pretty much it's not functional, to be honest with you. So you'll need a follow focus system, and again I'll do another quick video on that as well. But they're my 6 points. So very quickly, make sure you buy the right mount type. So in this case it's the Canon M50. So I bought I'm filming on it now, the Canon M50 with the SIRUI 24mm, so the EFM mount type lens. Make sure you change your custom settings in the M50, specifically again to shutter without lens. Very important. The third one being you will need editing software to help you de-squeeze the footage. The fourth being you will need a gimbal, or you should think about investing in a gimbal. Fifth, filters as well. And then sixth is the follow focus. So guys, that's just a very quick summation. I only got this lens this morning, so I'm still getting the grips with kind of my setup and my structure of it. So I'm going to take this lens around for the next couple of weeks and really put it through its paces. So, but those tips I think are very important for anybody new to anamorphic, like I am. I'm not an expert, but I've only kind of found these points out as I go along. One final thing I will mention that I forgot to put on this list that I wrote down: for your gimbal, I'm investing in an external monitor, because the monitor or screen on the M50 doesn't have an anamorphic view mode. If I want to see what the footage will look like in real time in the anamorphic frame, I will need an external monitor that supports the de-squeeze externally, and that's something you can pick up on Amazon pretty cheaply. You can get, there's a multitude of external monitors out there, and again I might put a video up just about those types of monitors that are out there as well. But an external monitor is very handy if you want to see the footage and what it should look like as you're filming, as opposed to the slightly skewed footage that you'll get on the screen on the Canon M50 when you're filming in real time. So for example, I'm looking at myself on my screen now, and it's nothing like it would look like once I actually apply the de-squeeze for the anamorphic view. So guys, I hope some of that was helpful. It's not technical, I know, but it's just a couple of points for relative late people like myself getting into anamorphic shooting, things that you should know. The most important, I think, is getting the correct mount, and that's custom setting on your Canon M50, as well as having the editing software to help you get the video output the way you want it. So guys, thank you for stopping along. If you have purchased the SIRUI lens, I'd love to hear your comments down below on how you're finding it, and what your thoughts on it are. And again, please feel free to like and subscribe to my channel. There's going to be a lot more coming around regarding tech and cameras specifically. So I'd really welcome you to subscribe and like the video if you wish to do so. So take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.